Welcome to the 7Innings podcast. We have a great show in store. Very special guests, Lisa Fernandez and Stacey Newman-Denise are going to be joining us on the program. In-depth interviews with those two coming up. We've got some news developing too from both the coaching ranks and a very busy transfer portal. Beth Mowens, Michelle Smith, Holly Rowe, Amanda Scarborough, Jess Mendoza, Jen Schroeder. Let's talk coaches. There's still an opening right now at Cal as we are taping, but there has been a move in the SEC as Jamie Trachsel leaves Minnesota to head down to Ole Miss. So, Jen Schroeder, I know you've been keeping an eye on this. This is two coaches now in 3 years that are up and out of Minneapolis, and a big get for the Southeastern Conference here.
Yeah, you know, the SEC is obviously one of the most dominant conferences in all of college softball. A lot will say that it's the most dominant one. But I think Jamie Trachsel being able to move to the SEC is a great move for her. I'm really excited to see what she's going to do. I'm interested to see how her personality fits into the current culture of Ole Miss softball. That's one thing that I'll be tracking in the next year or so. And then, of course, what's on everyone's mind is, will Amber Pfizer follow her? Will Natalie Den Hartog follow her? Who will go with her, or will she start fresh with just Ole Miss? Obviously, they've had some transfers depart with their pitcher moving to Texas, so they do need an arm in the circle. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen now that they have a coach.
Jamie's, you know, she's been a coach that just has continually proven herself at each of the stops that she stopped at. And ironically, everywhere that she's been has been a freezing place, from North Dakota State, where she was at for like 17 or 20 years, I believe. And then she had a quick stint at Iowa State before she went to Minnesota. So she's been at all these cool places and finally gets to go to the SEC. But what I was hearing and showing reports of too is that she got a pretty significant pay raise to go from Minnesota to the SEC.
Well, and Amanda, I think what's really interesting about this is that the Gophers, okay, Minnesota, her contract was up this year at the end of May. They only offered her a 1-year extension contract. If they would have offered her 2-3 years, there's a good chance she would have stayed. So for me, it was kind of surprising that Minnesota didn't make more of a commitment to her. And kudos for her making that jump. Absolutely, you've got to go and take care of business where you feel like you're wanted and offered a contract. So I think she's going to do a great job at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm excited just to see what she does with that program. I mean, that was a program that I felt like was really building success, has a lot of good players, had a couple transfer out, but as we're seeing is so many, I mean, there's just a plethora now of players to get through that transfer portal. And I feel like Ole Miss is a destination for a lot of players to be able to play down in that SEC conference, to be able to be on television, to be able to get seen. So what she's going to be able to do with that program, I mean, it's tough because there's so many great teams, but Ole Miss was right there on the cusp of really breaking through and being one of the top teams in that conference.
Well, one of the other things that I think is a factor here that I don't know if many of us have considered is, with this current pandemic and college football being in jeopardy, I think every athletic department's budget in America is going to shrink dramatically. We've already seen the payout from the canceled NCAA tournament go from $600 million to $225 million from the NCAA. That was money that schools were counting on in their athletic department budgets that is not going to be there. And so I understand, you know, Minnesota is one of those schools where I'm sure they are going to really have to tighten their belt. In the Big Ten, their football team is getting better and is good under PJ Fleck, but I think we all know that football impacts athletic department budgets so greatly that you're looking at going to the SEC, where they just got their TV contract payout of $46 or over $45 million this spring. And so the money is just greater in the SEC. Let's just be honest. That is a real factor. And I've heard talk that, you know, they're going to maybe start football if they can. There's going to be all kinds of things that are impacted with this pandemic, but I do think salaries and athletic department budgets is a huge one. And that's one reason why she could go to the SEC, where the budget may be bigger.